There are a lot of guides and videos out there focused on making gold and farming specific items, but not really a lot of them tell you how they work. Instead of just showing you who to kill and where, I hope to show you how to find your own gold farm spots as well. Every fantasy game, whether it's Diablo or EverQuest or World of Warcraft, tends to be based on old school Dungeons and Dragons mechanics, especially when it comes to loot. In old school D&D, to determine what a player gets after a mob is dead, you roll a pair of dice and look up the item on a loot table, a massive index that usually has varying ranges for different results. Quite a few of these will be consulted before determining the final loot that actually does drop. First and foremost, it will decide how many items drop, then their quality, then which items slot, then the random attributes. For example, a green helmet of the monkey or a sword of the bear has an equal chance to be of the bear or of the monkey or whatever it happens to be, with a few exceptions. Because of the random number generation basis of the loot system, it's highly variable and very luck based upon what will actually drop. The key to farming any transmog farm, whether it's Silithus or Burning Steppes, Feralis, it doesn't matter where, any transmog farm tends to work the same way behind the scenes. Instead of just going through a dungeon and killing X amount of packs of mobs, you're trying to find a place in the game, usually open world, that has quickly respawning enemies, in that you have to wait little to no time in order to kill them again. The reason for this is because of the random number based generation of loot. You're rolling the dice hundreds of times per minute instead of just a few, and that substantially increases your chance at getting even the rarest of items. Another thing that can be done to increase the number of loot chances you're getting per hour is to kill all of the mobs in the area. Let's say we just killed a pack of enemies. Well, because of the nature of the game, they're not going to respawn there until either their natural respawn timer takes in, which is usually anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes depending upon the enemy, or if they're forced to. And the reason it's forcible is because this is kind of a defense that MMO games have for themselves to prevent content from going down when there are too many players in one area. If there were 40 level 60s in Silithus running around killing these Twilight cultists, the game would spawn them much more frequently to compensate for the fact that they're more needed. This is usually more specifically to help compensate for like quest items and things that drop of that nature. The system can be milked a bit to force mobs to spawn at an unnaturally fast rate, Silithus for example. The thing to look for is highly clustered packs of mobs that will respawn almost instantly when you kill them, or at least with minimal travel when you kill enough of them. Once you get a good amount of inventory going, which I would highly recommend, well over 300 items at any given moment in your auction house. You need to keep the sales rolling, and the more inventory you have at any given moment, the more likely you are to make a sale. In this current competitive market, it's almost impossible to make millions of gold without certain add-ons, which include the Undermine Journal, Trade Skill Master, LootAppraiser. I also use Auctioneer, bank items, and a number of other things to help the workflow when I'm selling items on the auction house. I can't tell you how many hours of time I've saved at the auction house not having to post one at a time. In addition to making your auction house life easier, it actually gives you a fairly realistic estimate of how much gold you're earning per hour thanks to LootAppraiser and instantaneous access to the prices rather than just having to mass stockpile them and look them up once you're done farming. That's not very effective. Another thing I would highly recommend for anyone trying to make a lot of money is to have a dedicated bank alt. It doesn't particularly matter what class or level they are, as so long as they have ample backspace and more than enough bank space to stockpile items. as well as a Regent bank, and I would personally recommend a guild bank with as many storage tabs as you can. This may be completely unnecessary depending on what you're farming. For example, at any given moment I have hundreds of transmog items available on the auction house, but I don't actually need to store most of them in my bags. Most of them stay in the auction house permanently, and on the rare occasion that they are in my bag, there's only 50 items at a time, because that's maximum number of mailed items that can be retrieved by a player at one time. I would highly recommend avoiding selling in trade chat, just because as a general trend, people in trade are just going to start ripping you apart about prices. It doesn't really matter what it is, people troll, and if you begin to interact with them, it can go south very quickly. Another problem with the trade chat method of selling it is you often have to offer it at an extreme discount in order to get it to move quickly. And really, this just boils down to impatience. If you need to get your gold token today, then by all means sell your full Darkmoon Fair set for half of its current value, just because game time is more important sometimes. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. Thanks for watching, and good luck making those WoW tokens.